Hello and welcome to Fertility Talks, the Therapie Fertility podcast. I'm your host, Ranae von Meding. This week, I'll be sitting down with two of our amazing patients, Naomi and Sarah Ann, who tell us all about their reciprocal IVF journey and their path to parenthood at Thérapie Fertility.
You first came in with quite a definite plan in mind. What was that plan?
For Naomi to carry using my egg.
And how did it feel coming back in, starting a new cycle?
We were very negative.
And every time we walked through the door, big smiles on our faces, like, I wonder what's going to happen today. And then when we went in for the next cycle, it was like, oh, I wonder where it's going to go wrong.
Did you think that one was going to work?
No.
Not like we did a lot of tests. Like, way too many. To the point that we ran out of them.
Were you both waiting by the phone?
All day.
All day. We wouldn't even go for food in case the phone rang. Try get rid of some of your negative thoughts because it does take the joy out of it.
So before we get into how you made your baby, let's go back to when you first met and tell me a little bit about that.
So we met in Spain at the Feria. So every town in Spain has a patron saint and they celebrate. So this fun fair kind of thing goes around to each town. And yeah, we met at our local one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bunch of my friends were going out and a bunch of Sarah's friends were going out, and we all kind of just met up together, and that's how we first met.
And were you on holiday or were you living there at the time?
We were living there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were both working in Irish bars around the corner from each other. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think we'd met at all before that.
You hadn't started there yet. You weren't around in the corner.
I was working in Portobellows.
Yeah. So we hadn't met. Like, we knew so many people we were friends with so many people that knew both of us, but we'd never met until that night in the Feria.
And when you met, what happened? Did you immediately kind of fall head over heels in love? Was there instant attraction? What was it?
We didn't even speak to each other that first night, I don't think.
No. There's pictures of us. Like, there's a picture of me with my friends, and then Naomi's in the background.
Like, right, stood back to back almost. Like,
yeah.
We probably didn't even really acknowledge each other that first night.
Not really. We were just kind of in a group. We got introduced, and then that was really it. And then I moved bar closer to yours. Mm-hmm. And we lived in the same area. Mm-hmm. So Naomi used to bring me home at night, except...
And then she wouldn't go home.
I wouldn't go home. And that's where it all happened.
And then she brought a bag one day and then never left.
Yeah.
So you moved in together in Spain?
Yeah.
And how long did you live in Spain for?
I was there for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. I was there for 7. So we lived together two or 3 years there, I think. Yeah.
And at what point did either of you think, yeah, this is it, this is the one, I'm going to marry her?
I think that was my doing. I spent ages telling Sarah that we weren't going to be anything, and I was like, no, it's just a bit of fun, we're just playing around. And then in the May, she came home to Ireland for 2 weeks, and I think after the second day she was gone, I just went, uh-oh.
I was like,
oh no. Yeah. So we were on the phone to each other the whole time, and then the day she came back to Spain, I picked her up at midnight and was just like, yeah, we're either in this or we're not. And yeah, been in it ever since.
Yeah. It was very cute. The fireworks and everything were going.
Yeah.
Because Feria had just started again.
Yeah, the next one had started, hadn't it then?
And so at what point did you talk about getting married?
So straight away Naomi was like, just to let you know, I want kids. So you're either in or you're out. And I was like, okay.
I'd already
I like
planned,
it. Yeah. Straight to the point.
I'd already planned on going ahead with it on my own anyway at this stage before me and Sarah met. So once we did meet, and I was like, oh God, I was like, don't really want to put it on the back burner, but it's a brand new relationship. So I just thought I'd put it all out there straight away. And you weren't scared by it, so no, you're still here.
And had you thought about kids at that point?
I never wanted to carry. Like, I knew I wanted kids, didn't know how I was going to get them.
Yeah.
But, like, forever. I was like, no way. I'll never be pregnant. Well, that changed. Yeah.
So, when you started talking about babies, how did that fit into, like, your plan of, you were living in Spain, obviously, you wanted to get married. What did that look like for you? Did you think you were going to perhaps try over there? What was that journey for you, and how did you end up here?
Yeah, so we went to a clinic in Marbella to get the stuff about it and see how do we do it, what happens. And on our first consultation, he said you have to be married.
In order to do the reciprocal IVF, you had to be married.
So we came away from that straight away being like, right, we need to get married. That's just the first thing.
So
It was
romantic.
yeah, it was
I know.
so romantic, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was like, it was because it happened just before COVID.
Yeah,
Didn't our
I think that was.
consultation-
No, I think it was the year before because we had the consult in the October and we got married in November. We didn't get married in a month.
No,
Did we?
definitely. We probably did.
Yeah, maybe we did.
No, we definitely didn't.
It was the next year.
Yeah. Oh, God, I don't
So
know.
you
Yeah.
knew you'd have to get married
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order to do the treatment in Spain.
Yeah.
So did you get married in Spain, or what did you do?
Yeah. Cool.
We did. We well, not actually in Spain because there was too much like red tape and everything for two of us to get married there. So we just went down to Gibraltar, which is like part
Apparently
of
a
the UK.
very popular gay wedding
Yeah,
destination.
yeah, we didn't know that at the time, but
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've since found out it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's really nice. Like,
Yeah.
so we went there. We got married in the November, and then we were planning to start going ahead with treatment and like starting to try and everything, and then COVID happened in the March, was it?
Yeah.
And then we managed to like hang out for a while in Spain there, but just got too tough. Like we didn't have jobs, we weren't making money and all this, and we'd both decided but hadn't said it to one another that we needed to leave Spain. And I knew that I didn't want to live in England. Like I just didn't want to move back there. So I went to you first and said, I've been thinking about it. Maybe we should move to Ireland. And then it turned out you'd been thinking the exact
Yeah.
same thing. So I think within a month or two,
Yeah, it was
we
very
packed up.
quick.
yeah, and we moved here.
Okay, so you find yourselves back in Ireland.
Yeah.
At what point did you say, okay, let's look at some Irish fertility clinics?
No, I wouldn't.
I think you popped up on my Instagram one day, actually. Yeah, that was literally
personally.
you personally popped up, and I was like just scrolling through a few things, and then one thing led to another. And we just looked at a few, found therapy through you. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you're calling your baby Ranae.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, because we've been talking about moving back to Spain eventually. So we were thinking at first we'd wait and use the same clinic we'd already been to in Spain. But then we think we don't know how long we're going to be here, and we're not old, obviously, but we're getting older. So we were like, right, let's just see what it's all about, and went for it.
So you first came in with, I believe, quite a definite plan in mind.
Yeah.
What was that plan?
For Naomi to carry,
Yeah.
Using yours.
using my egg. That was it. That was just the way it was going to happen. And nothing was going to change that.
Yeah.
And like when we went into consultation, they didn't even really have to talk to us about anything else because, well,
They did-
Naomi
they did
more
kind-
did your research
Yeah.
than me. So we kind of knew what we wanted, and then our bodies fitted into
The plan.
that idea.
Yeah.
With the testing that you did.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, all the
whatnot, it kind of
tests.
seemed on paper that
Yeah.
that would be a good.
Yeah.
Well,
kind of
what
way
they
to do
said
it.
to us at the time when we had all the tests done, John Kennedy said to us that it was either way. He said, by the looks of all the results of everything, either way you want to do this would be perfect. Whether I was to carry Sarah's or she was to carry mine. But we're dead set on the way that we wanted to do it. And he was like, that's fine. I'm happy to go forward with that. So we did.
Yeah.
And how did that cycle go?
Not as good as we hoped.
No. So we did egg collection on me, and we got 11 eggs, and then nothing on day 5.
So did any of them fertilize?
Did one fertilized because we had to wait from day 3 to day 5 for one. We were just waiting on one.
There was
the rest
three that fertilized, but 2
were
they said
abnormal.
straight away were abnormal. And then we had the one that on day 3 was looking okay. Wasn't looking brilliant, but it was okay. And then on day 5, that's when they rang us on
Yeah.
April Fool's Day, actually,
Yeah.
and told us
No.
that,
Yeah.
So I was like, is it some kind of sick joke? Like, no, they wouldn't do that to anybody.
Yeah.
No.
So obviously now you're sitting here, you're expecting a baby now. It's a lot easier to talk
Yeah.
about out the other side of it. What was that like?
It was like a loss. It was actually horrific.
Yeah, I think it hurt us both a lot more than what we thought it would, because it wasn't a baby. Like, we weren't pregnant, but it still felt like we'd lost something at the same time. So that was pretty tough. Like, I think it kept hitting us both in different stages. One day
Yeah.
I'd be fine and Sarah'd be in bits, and then the next day she was fine and I was in bits, and it was just
Yeah, it was
went
really
on for
bad.
quite a while like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just switched and we were like, right, we need to start thinking about what we're going to do.
Like, what's
Really, like,
next?
productively.
How long did you take before you started thinking about trying again?
Not that long.
It's only a couple of weeks. I think after that happened, you kind of switched in your head from going, I'm never going to carry, I don't want to be pregnant, to just, okay, I can do this if this is what we have to do to make a family. And then once you'd made that decision, we were kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see.
And was
See
that a
what
conversation between you two, or was that with, you know, in consultation with the medical team here, or like what was it that made you think, well, maybe we should switch as opposed to try it again the same way?
We were thinking of all different ways. Like, we were like, do we just do like straightforward IVF? Or do we try ICSI? Or like
This was all
Type.
prior to having the second consult, wasn't
Yeah.
it? This was conversations we
this
had.
was even before our review.
You had started talking about
We had started
plan
talking
B.
about that's how quick we kind of
Yeah.
started focusing on something new. Yeah, and then I just woke up one morning, I don't know,
And decided you'd get
I
pregnant.
was like, yeah, I can do this. Like, happens to people all the time. But then that was tough on you
yeah.
because you always wanted to carry. So it was,
I will eventually.
oh, you will. You're doing the next one.
Yeah. Let's just get this one out of the way first.
It is hard though, because I know my wife and I were in the same position, that we went in very much with, this is what we're doing, and thankfully it worked out. Not immediately, but it did. And I can imagine that would be, you know, hard.
Yeah, it was. But like, when we went for the consult, and I think we'd already decided by that point, like the review consultation, whatever they call it, we'd decided then that we were going to switch
Yeah.
because we didn't want to risk doing the exact same thing again and then getting the same results. So we're like, is there any point? Well, not no point in it, but we didn't want to waste all that time and effort and everything to get the same results straight away. So we thought, we'll switch. But we'd already decided then that if it didn't work out that time, we'd switch back, because then we'd kind of covered all bases.
Yeah, and at
So-
least you
Yeah.
had tried something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I believe you went away before you had your second cycle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where did we go? Tenerife?
England and Tenerife.
England and Tenerife.
Yeah, we went to England to visit my friends and family, and then we took a week in Tenerife afterwards, just the
Yeah.
two of us, just to kind of step away from it all, because it consumes everything. It's all you think about. Like, all we ever thought about and talked
Constantly.
about was being in here and medications and everything IVF related. So we were like, right, we're just going to go away and we're not going to think about it and talk about it. But we probably did talk about it a fair bit.
Yeah.
But it was still nice, like, just have the two of us.
There was no pressure. We
Yeah.
didn't feel pressure.
And then we knew we could come back into it, like, with a clear head.
And how did it feel coming back in, starting a new cycle?
We were very negative.
Yeah, really negative. The first time round, every single appointment we had was something brand new. So we were really excited for everything. Every time we walked through the door, big smiles on our faces, like, I wonder what's going to happen today. And then when we went in for the next cycle, it was like, oh, I wonder where it's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, all the way through.
Yeah, this is going to be the one where it stops.
Yeah,
Or-
they're going to tell us bad news
Yeah,
today.
we're only going to get to this stage.
Yeah.
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 So, like, every single stage was like, nah, this is the end. This is the end.
Even when they started talking about transfer dates and everything, because we hadn't gotten that far before. And we were like, oh, no, something's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, we won't get that far.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good. Like,
And that's something that, like, I find a lot with people when you haven't had a loss, be that an unsuccessful cycle or a loss of a pregnancy. When you haven't had that, everything is exciting and everything
Yeah.
is new.
Yeah.
And losing something kind of takes that away from you.
it does takes that joy out of it. And there's nothing you can do really, because your mind will
No,
constantly
it's
go
human
back.
nature to...
Yeah. But we kind of, every time we came out of here then, it was good. And we were like,
Oh,
okay, what's
okay.
wrong with us? Like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
Why are we not
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
about
yeah.
this? This is good news. Like,
Yeah. We'd have to like reassure ourselves that this is actually happening. This is good.
Yeah. So how did you find the egg collection?
Oh, it was the egg collection itself was actually fine. But the medication, everything leading up to it, I found horrendous. Like I think you suffered the last day, like
The very last day.
the day after you took the trigger, actually, was when you were struggling. I was about 2 days into injecting. I was in so much pain, headaches and all this kind of, it was just, I never wanted to do it again. At the time, I was saying I'm never, ever, ever doing this again.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I was like, I could do it again if I have to.
It's funny though, because it just goes to show that it affects people so differently,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Like pregnancy affects you differently.
Yeah.
Medications.
Bodies are just so different.
And
Yeah.
I was on such a lower dose. I was on half the dose that you were on. So I wasn't expecting much from it because of that. But then, a few days in.
You were so sick.
Yeah.
And how many eggs were collected?
They only got 7. 7,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Because when I had the scans and everything, they were counting like over 30 follicles. And they were like, everything's good. But then when it went to the egg collection, a lot of them were empty. Like they said they didn't know why. Like there's no exact reason for it. It says, but they managed to get 7. And of the 7, then 4 of those were mature enough. And we got 2 embryos from that. So we have 1 inside Sarah now and 1 in the freezer just down the hall.
We'll go for a tour after. Did you think that one was going to work?
No.
No, not a hope.
No. I was in my head, I was already planning the next transfer before the first one even happened.
Yeah.
Like,
I never thought this was going to happen.
and then,
Remember the day we did the test?
Yeah.
I literally did the test, gave it to Naomi and got into bed. So I was
You
like,
didn't even,
I'm not even going to stay awake for this.
She peed into a cup and brought it into the bedroom
And said you do it.
Yeah, she literally got back into bed, pulled the covers over her head, and she was laid there in the bed while I was getting ready for work. So I dipped it in, put it on the side, and I was like, I'll leave it for the 3 minutes, however long you're supposed to leave it. And after, like, I wouldn't even say it was 60 seconds. I was like, I have to have a peek.
Yeah.
So I had a look, and it wasn't clear. Now, seeing a clearer one later on, I was surprised at how excited I got at the first one.
Or how you could see it.
Yeah, you couldn't even see it at first. But I ran over to Sarah, and she was like, I'm not even going to swear, but she said a few choice words. And didn't quite believe it, and like, because she was still half asleep, couldn't even
I still
focus.
had those sleepy eyes and I couldn't even focus on the test, and I was like, no, I can't see it. It's not
She's
real.
like, that's not positive.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then my mum was actually staying with us at the time. So she was down in the spare bedroom. So I
love
grabbed
her.
the test. I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning.
It was something
And,
crazy. I had gotten up because I was bursting in the middle of the night
Yeah.
to go to the toilet. Got up, it was 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
So
like that.
I ran down to the spare room and waving this pea stick under my mum's nose to wake her up.
And so when you had those positive tests at home, before you came in for the blood test, were you pretty confident that this was it, you were pregnant? Or were you still kind of...
Like, we did a lot of tests. Like, way too many. To the point that we ran out of them. The amount we bought, we ran out. And we went and got more. And they're getting stronger and stronger. And, like, I did one, and the pregnancy line came up quicker than the control line. And, like,
you
they were
freaked out. You thought on that one, like, it was swapped because the test line was so dark you could barely see the control line.
Yeah.
And Sarah had it in her hand and was like, oh my god, like, it's so light again, this is
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
first
but
one.
it was
And I was like,
backwards.
no, it's quite the opposite, like it's actually taken.
Yeah, so then when we were getting blood done, I was like, oh, that's the end now. Like, this is going to be another stop.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, it's too low or something.
Yeah. And then it really wasn't.
No.
Yes.
Who called you? Do you remember who called you?
Oh. No.
But do you remember the phone call?
Yeah, God, I remember that phone
Yeah,
call.
we
We were in
sat
our
staring
friends.
Were
at
Were
you
that
both
phone.
waiting by the phone?
All day.
all day. We wouldn't even go for food in case the phone rang while we
Who
were
rang?
getting food.
Your dad rang you at one point during the day and she screamed
You were
down
like,
the
"Get
phone.
off the phone."
I was like, I don't need this right
I
now.
need to
Just
keep
get off the phone.
line free.
And then he panicked, so he didn't even bother ringing back. I can't remember. I know exactly what she looks like. I don't know her name.
I can't remember who
She's
it
really
was, to be
tall
honest.
nurse.
And what did you feel like when you got the confirmation that your beta blood test was positive?
Then it felt a bit more real. We were really happy.
It did, yeah. We were really happy, obviously, but it only felt real, I'd say, for a couple of minutes. And then it was still like, oh, it could still go wrong. Like,
Okay.
still, like,
Yeah.
it came back on again, so.
Because I was afraid they'd want us in for repeat bloods,
Sure.
and they didn't.
At what point did it start to feel real?
When I got off that flight in Spain. Because we got the results. Was it on the Friday and we were going on the Monday?
Yeah, I think so.
And we flew late that night. And my clothes fit me getting on that airplane.
And they didn't fit you coming back
When I
next
got
week.
off, I literally just went pop.
We had to
Yeah.
go shopping.
I had
for
to
all
go
new
shopping
clothes, like
for all new clothes the next day. Because I was like, nothing fits me. That's when it started feeling real.
And then when we came in and we had the scan, you were convinced. Sarah was convinced it was twins.
Oh,
Like,
I was huge. Like, I was this size nearly. Yeah, I was convinced. I was like, just double check.
yeah.
Yeah, and then that scan felt real.
Yeah.
And then we went for a private scan. Because it was a long wait between 6 weeks and 12 weeks.
Yes.
I was like, I just want like a bit
Double the
real.
length of time you've been pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. So we booked in, and it was moving and all.
Yeah, it was really strange. It waved. Like
Yeah.
this little arm stub thing.
Do you have any pet names for your baby? Are you starting to call them anything?
Not really.
We were calling it a chicken nugget for a
Chicken
while.
nugget. Yeah, chicken nugget. Yeah. No.
Is that because of the copious amounts of McDonald's that
Yeah,
people going through
exactly.
fertility treatment
And it doesn't help
consume?
with it being right around the corner from here as well.
This is true. I think we need to be sponsored by
Definitely.
McDonald's.
Definitely. The amount of people that get in the car and go straight there or just walk over.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we do.
No, nothing I could, apart from that.
Although I really don't like people rubbing me. I find it very strange.
Yeah, it is. It's a strange time. You know,
Yeah.
as soon as you're growing a person, it's like you lose yourself and people think that it's
it's okay.
suddenly okay to
start
just
rubbing your
touch you.
stomach.
I said you just need to start rubbing
must
people's
have-
stomachs back. Like,
yeah, yeah.
imagine pregnant or not, just be touching theirs instead.
I used to love when people would say, "Oh, how long have you left?" You know, to be like, left for what?
Yeah. Yeah, when people say to me, oh, like, how far are you? And I'm like, oh, God, I'm only 11 weeks. Because, like, I'm working in primary schools teaching dance. And I can see teachers looking at me going,
Trying to
how
work it out.
long do
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
have you for?
Well, the
Yeah,
best,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
best part is Sarah's actually covering maternity leave right now for somebody else.
But it's all good.
So let's go back a little bit. Obviously, as a same-sex couple, you're here because you needed help to conceive. And one of those things you needed help with was donor sperm. How did you choose your donor sperm?
Naomi.
Sarah wouldn't even look at it. Basically, we both sat down for a while and we went through it all. And like you can filter it out by hair and eye color and everything
On
else.
the website.
Yeah, on the European Sperm Bank, isn't it? And we had a little look for a while, the two of us, and you just
I was
said
so
no.
overwhelmed.
Sarah just said no.
Why were you overwhelmed?
There were so many. Like, and there wasn't even so many. Like, there was things
A
that
lot
you
of
would never
information.
think of in a person
Yeah.
to look for. Because you're making a really big decision.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of, like, just a straight couple meeting, they're not like, oh, and what did your granny die of? Like, it doesn't happen. So that in my head was like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the medical questions, and it was like, oh, the grandmother had hay fever. We don't want that one.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
it
you were
was silly
nitpicking at ridiculous things. And then I was like, you just pick a few
Yeah.
and then give them to me to read. And even at that, I was like, which one do you prefer?
Yeah. I think we narrowed it down to like 3, and then we just decided on one.
Yeah. It's like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
And let me ask, did you use the same donor for the first cycle as you did for this second cycle that was successful?
We would have done if we could, but he didn't have any in stock when we went to buy it
It's
again.
a funny thing, isn't it? To
We're
have sperm in
heartbroken.
stock.
Yeah, so obviously you get the pregnancy slot, so technically he was ours until we didn't want to use him anymore with that pregnancy slot. But then when we went to purchase more, there was none left for him. And they can't tell you how long it's going to be until it's
Sure.
back in stock again either.
Sure.
So we gave up that pregnancy slot. We found a different donor altogether that was never in the running in the first place. And then we purchased that one, and then for some reason I went back online again
Just to have a look.
just to have a look, and the first one was back in stock, and I was like, oh, why? But we're still happy enough. It's obviously done its
Yeah.
job, so.
It worked.
The thing is, when you have this baby, if you had have had your original donor, this baby would have been different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it all worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Do you have any reservations about having used donor sperm? Obviously, I have 2 donor conceived kids. Do you have any hesitations about it or concerns about, you know, how your kind of social circle will kind of be with your child? Do you think they'll be treated differently, or are you really happy with how you've conceived?
We're quite lucky. Like, all our friends and our family are very open-minded.
Yeah.
Like, it's not something I've really thought about.
No, don't think I have either, really. We had to have the counselling session beforehand, which I think was pretty helpful because it helped us think about things that we wouldn't have thought about before, and like how we're going to address this when the child's old enough. Obviously, it's not something we're going to be able to keep secret because most people know that you need one of each. So yeah.
The only thing, like, I remember my mum saying to me, and what are you going to do, like, when the child says, like, who's my dad? And I remember just saying to her, you actually said it to her straight away.
I did, because
it's not a dad, it's a donor. And like, that always sticks in my head. I think it sticks in hers as well.
A few
because
people
she's
do
very...
say it as well, like, not just your mum, but other people. They're so used to mum and dad. They're like, so what about when they want to know about the dad and all this? And it's like, but there is no dad. Like,
we
a donor
always fix
doesn't
that
make it a dad.
really
so.
quick.
Yeah.
Just so. To use the right terminology, I suppose. Because that child is going to come into the world and they're going to be in their lives. So we'd like them to use the right term, I suppose. Yeah.
I guess it's one of those things you kind of figure out along the way. Yeah, like our kids obviously are raised in a society that's 99% heteronormative, and you know, and every storybook and movie and everything has a mum and a dad and 2 kids and a dog. But kids are so receptive to just life and love, and I think it's adults who sometimes kind of put their opinions and their thoughts onto situations. You know, any kids who say to my kids, where's your dad, or where's your mum and your dad, they're like, no, we don't have a dad.
Yeah, it's just, that's
It's
just the
just
way
all
it is.
they know, though, isn't it?
Two
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
But remember, was it you and Gina that walked over to my mum when she was with her kids from school?
Yeah.
And my mum was like, this is my daughter
Yeah.
and my daughter-in-law. And one of the kids copped and was like, your daughter-in-law, but don't you have 2 daughters?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. This Naomi, she's married to my daughter, Sarah. And that was fine. They
The
just
kid
went
was
off
just
playing.
like, okay. And
Yeah,
off
cool.
he went. Like,
They don't
Yeah,
care.
kids don't care.
But they don't have any badness
Preconceptions
in
or
them.
yeah.
They're just fresh.
Yeah.
brand new.
Yeah.
What has been, because oftentimes people talk about the really hard parts of fertility treatment and IVF, but I'd like to ask you both, what has been your favorite part of the fertility journey, whether that be something that actually happened in clinic, or whether it's something that like you've learned about yourself or your relationship together through this kind of journey of creating a whole new person. Is there anything that has stood out for you?
I think it's very fresh. Like last week when we went for that private scan and we actually saw a baby moving. Because I don't know, I had it in my head that no, they're just stuck to the sides. They don't move yet. But yeah, I just got really, whoa. And then just having you beside me, I suppose, it was nice. It was a really good feeling.
Yeah. I think all of it, especially being here. Like, I remember when we were in Spain, and obviously they knew we were a same-sex couple going in, and they told us that we had to be married. When we were looking at some of the paperwork and stuff even, it was all him and her, mum and dad, husband, wife, all that kind of stuff. But I think my favourite thing about it all, coming here in particular, not once has anybody mistaken us for being sisters or for being friends that are just giving each other a bit of comfort. Like, it's always been our journey together here all the way through.
Yeah,
So
that's been
just nice to be recognised, like, as
and not having to explain
yeah.
to anyone. Which been really good.
Which I didn't think would be the case, to be honest. Not here, or just in general. Like, you always feel like you have to explain yourself because the amount of people that think we're related, like...
Yeah.
I have a funny one for you, and you'll have to come back to me in a few years and tell me some funny things that have happened to you, because no doubt it will happen. But there was we went to a Santa kind of experience, and there was an elf who thought that, so we had the 2 kids, myself, my wife, and they thought that my wife was my mother and the kids' grannies, and they said to the kids, "Your nanny." And now my wife is very easygoing. She does not get offended, but you want to see her face. And I could not breathe. I was laughing so much. I was laughing, and we somehow managed to explain to the elf that no, we're married and these are our kids. And the poor guy,
Poor little elf.
poor little elf, nearly like melted into the ground with embarrassment, nearly chasing after us to apologize.
No, I hope
But yeah, you run into some funny situations.
It's like with our hair. Every time I go lighter, Naomi has to go darker.
Yeah.
Because it's all the time.
Like, my hair is blonde. I'm always blonde. But as soon as Sarah tries to go blonde, I have to go dark.
Yeah.
Because we look nothing alike.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think we do.
But if you have the same color hair, people will be like, "Oh, sisters."
Yeah.
No.
Although we had it when we
Fully
were
grown sisters walking around holding hands.
we're very needy.
They're very close.
Yeah.
Although one person did once put it into perspective. When we were in Tenerife, we were on a
the
boat
boat.
trip.
Yeah.
And a girl came up to us and she was like, "I just don't want to be rude. Just want to ask, are you two sisters?" The usual, we were like, "No, we're not." And she's like, no, you don't look alike. She says, "But your mannerisms are very similar." She says, "You kind of move the same way as each other, like really in sync." We're like, "So I thought you were sisters." And we were like,
But
"Okay, well, that's different.
why?
I've never heard that
But
before."
why does it matter? Like,
You wouldn't. I would never
I've
walk up
never-
to somebody and say, "Oh, are you brother and sister?"
But I've never had anybody. I'm one of 5, and being anywhere with any of my siblings, nobody's
never-
ever come
yeah,
up to
yeah.
ask me, "Are you 2 sisters? Like,
Yeah,
are
yeah,
you brother
yeah.
and sister?" Me and my brother
Strange.
are actually the spitting image of each other.
Yeah.
And I've had nobody ask us if we're brother and sister before.
Bizarre.
Like,
It's very weird.
yeah,
Very weird.
so strange.
Final question for you both. What would you say to someone who is at the start of their fertility journey, who might be in a similar situation as you, a same-sex couple, trying to figure out what are their options, what is right for them, where is right for them? What would you say to them, and what would be like something helpful that someone would have said to you at the start of your journey?
I think if something does go wrong, try. I actually hated when people said it to me, but try get rid of some of your negative thoughts, because it does take the joy out of it. Like, it is an exciting time, and even when things go wrong, there's still something good is going to happen, or something good has happened. You found a clinic, you found a doctor. Just try and get rid of those negative. I'm going to say be positive. But yeah.
I think mine would be, like, do your research on where you want to be, especially if you are same-sex couple, to somewhere that's going to accept the 2 of you as a couple, and just take every day one day at a time. Like, because things do change. Like, once you've had, you might go in there like the same as we did. You might go in there with one like dead set, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Just be open to the fact that might not be possible, but there's ways around everything. So just take it one day at a time.
Thank you so much for coming in to chat to me.
Thanks for having us.
I'm very excited for you to come back and visit with a baby.
I know, can't wait.
It's very there.
How many more months do we have?
Like 6.
Beginning of May is due.
3rd of May.
Taurus?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God it's not a Gemini.
There's nothing wrong with Gemini.
You're the only Geminis that I like. Your family.
Well, Sarah and Naomi, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a privilege to be a part of your story so far. So thank you.
Thank you.